Hi, welcome to End Credit Reviews, and Furious 7 is criminally overrated. Furious 7, I can't believe they've made so many of those dumb movies, in the Fast and the Furious series from 2015. It was directed by James Wan, who has directed many horror movies, and this is easily his worst one. It stars Vin Diesel, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jason Statham, and the late Paul Walker. This movie not only received an absurd amount of positive reviews from critics, but it made over $1 billion. For the longest time, I thought that the Alice in Wonderland movie by Tim Burton was the worst movie to make over $1 billion, but this one takes the cake. The only reason why critics loved it, and it made a lot more money than it deserved, was because of the tragic death of Paul Walker. To be clear, I have no problem or had any problem with him. Not only did he play the only character in the series that I liked, but he was a good human being in real life. My problem is not with him whatsoever, but I am mad at the fact that a loss of a human life is the only reason why this legitimately bad movie made over $1 billion. So before I begin, I want to make a few statements. First is that this is an analyzation, not a review, so there will be spoilers throughout. Second is that just because I think this movie is overrated doesn't mean I won't point out some things that I might have liked about it. And finally, this is a copyright disclaimer. This means that I do not own any of the video, audio, or music footage from this movie. So without further ado, here's why I think Furious 7 is criminally overrated. We open up to a man named Deckard, played by Jason Statham, visits his brother, played by Luke Evans, in a hospital in London. It then turns out that he took out a bunch of SWAT and policemen by himself. Although this continuous shot is cool, I don't understand why there isn't any backup to attack him shortly after. It's not like this is in a small town or anything, this is in London. He then later finds Hobbs, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, as they engage in a pretty decent fight scene. But it's hard to buy the fact that Deckard just recovered easily from someone like The Rock from doing this to him. There's then an explosion and Hobbs ends up in the hospital. While this is going on, Dominic, played by Vin Diesel, tries to reconnect with his old flame Letty, played by Michelle I don't care, let's move on. We also cut to Brian, played by the late Paul Walker, as he tries to adjust to being a parent. Deckard then tries to kill the good guys with an explosive package, and how did they survive that? The blast from the shockwave alone should have at least killed them. Dominic and Deckard, get it, double D, then finally confront each other.
Reinforce your chassis. It's like going into a ring with weighted gloves.
Yeah, like you're the poster boy for what is fair. Deckard then gets away, and Dominic is confronted by a government fellow named Mr. Nobody, and okay, did a third grader write this? On top of that, they had to drag poor Kurt Russell into this garbage. I'm not trying to nitpick, but here is a supercut of how many times the word guy is said.
Guy. Lots of guys.
Yeah, Academy Award winning screenwriting, isn't it? He wants his team to help him catch Deckard. That is right. Instead of having people in the military who are trained professionals and can be trusted, he hires these loose cannons instead. I take that back. A second grader wrote this. They get the jump on a partner of Deckard, and he is played by Djimon Hounsou. Yet another actor that I like somehow got dragged into this movie. How do they do this? By parachuting there with their cars. So I was wrong, a first grader wrote this. If you think that joke is getting repetitive, just try watching this movie. They try to save a hacker and save her. This woman is Ramsey, played by Natalie Emmanuel. But before that happens, they survive these stunts that would kill anyone in real life. This is my biggest gripe with this movie. When you have an action scene when there's not the possibility of the main character or characters could die, get hurt, or lose, then there is not any drama, and it makes any action scene a very dull and forgettable one. Ramsey then tells them of the MacGuffin, the God's Eye, is in a building of a wealthy man. The God's Eye is a program that can hack and see any device in the world. So isn't that what the NSA does all the time? They go to a party and look around for the device. You know how people accuse Michael Bay of objectifying women? Trust me, he is a monk compared to all the so-called objectifying of women in this movie alone. They find out where it might be located at, and Brian takes a look. Okay, I know it might be lighter than most cars, but I'm calling bullcrap on that. While this happens, Ludacris's character is hacking and beats up this guy. Since when was it established that he could fight like that? Speaking of things that are hard to buy into, this woman takes on a bunch of guards like she's Wonder Woman or something. She then takes on the most overrated athlete in the world, Ronda Rousey. Well, come to think of it, it does make sense that she could take her in a fight. I mean, Ronda hasn't been much of a winner lately. So, get this. They drive a car through not one, not two, but 3 buildings without losing any momentum or hitting any of the floors in between. The Grand Theft Auto video games with cheat codes follow the laws of physics more than this movie does. They find Deckard, but it's a trap and Mr. Nobody helps with his night vision glasses? Now they're making up gadgets on the spot? What is this, a G.I. Joe movie? This movie so far is nonsensical, making up gadgets on the spot, and at the same time, not caring about the laws of physics. If this was a comic book movie, or an animated movie, or a fantasy movie, then I would let some things pass. But this movie is none of those. The climax involves Dominic and Deckard fighting on top of a parking garage with pipes, and the rest of the gang trying to avoid a drone. First off, how can the bad guys fly a drone in a major city like Los Angeles without it being detected by Homeland Security and not being shot down by the Air Force? Second, being hit with metal bars or pipes, whatever they're hitting each other with, would have knocked one of these guys out in several hits. It's then finally topped with Hobbs, get this, flexes his broken arm and breaks the cast by doing so. I would be shocked if a kindergartner did not write this movie. If you thought it could not get any dumber, it does this.
Thing about street fights, the street always wins.
You know, Vin Diesel, you were the voice of the title character in one of my favorite movies of all time, but I'm seriously running out of slack to cut you. I'm tired of having to explain things, so this happens and that and more things that would make Sir Isaac Newton roll in his grave.
Come on, Dom. Come on!
Oh no, it's not like you haven't easily lived through much more dangerous things. The movie ends with honestly a nice tribute to Paul Walker, and he parts ways with everyone else. When you constantly have nearly invincible characters who seem to never get injured or be in any real danger, then that's a very predictable and an uninteresting flick. A lot of people went to this movie to pay respect to Paul Walker, but the only people they were benefiting were the producers who laughed all the way to the bank. If anyone wanted to pay respect or tribute, they would have and should have made a video expressing their thoughts and feelings about his family's loss instead. If you thought that seeing a movie that he just so happened to be in would do that, then you're just plain ignorant. Look, I wish, like everyone else, that Paul Walker was still alive today, not only to prevent this movie from being overly praised in the first place, but we would still have a good actor and person with us. So that is why I think Furious 7 is criminally overrated. So anyway, thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe.